My name's Jude.
And together
we're Young, Dumb, and Dating.
So for this episode, we're going to discuss arguments.
Ah!
How do you know the difference between an argument or just a regular talk? How to solve it?
How to know when to have them and when not to have them.
Yeah.
So let's start with how to handle them. You go first. How do you handle arguments?
I am not the most mature. I will block you. I would ignore you. My way is if I'm mad at you, I don't want to go up to you right away because then I know I'm gonna say things that are hurtful. So I usually wait. I wait like a day of just ignoring you. It kind of depends though. Let's say it's something that he's doing. Let's say you're talking over me all the time. Then it's something that I'm gonna tell you then and there. So I'm just gonna say, why are you doing that? Can you stop doing that? And if you keep doing it, then that's when I start ignoring you. I'm like, you know what? You don't want to change.
You separate yourself from the situation. So instead of dealing with it, you'd rather just
sometimes
push them aside.
It depends. Some days I'm confrontational, and other days I avoid confrontation. So I think it just depends how.
But for the most part, you just distance yourself.
I would say so. I think you've changed
That's fine.
Me.
Just say how you.
I think you've changed me though, because if you go you could say, but you're very mature about things, so it's made me more vocal about things and solving things on the spot rather than having them build up. Because there's times where the argument has escalated because I waited too long, and then once it comes time to saying yo, I'm mad about this, whatever, and you're like, when have I done it? And it's like, don't you remember those times that you did this to me?
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't remember. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So if you were to just say it then and there, then it's way better because then you're in the moment.
Yeah. So you've definitely become more reasonable with arguments, but yeah, for the most part, you kind of just distance yourself, which is fine. Everyone handles arguments differently. Like she said, I try to be more mature about things. I try to put my feelings aside, and I try to just look at it from a third person's perspective. Okay, I hear your side, I obviously know my side. How can we find common ground? And how can we diffuse the situation? And that leads into what? Our next question is, how do you diffuse arguments? So what I do is, I always try to treat it like a third person. I hear both people's sides, and I try to think outside of myself, which is hard to do because it's I'm biased. I want to win every argument. I don't want you to win. I don't want to say that I'm wrong. But I think that's good practice to kind of just know when you're wrong, because you can apply that to anything in life. If you know you're wrong about something, it'll give you better time to improve on what you did wrong. If I believe what I'm doing is right all the time and it's wrong all the time, then I'm not going to learn as quick. So that's why I try to look outside of this and I'm okay, am I wrong in this argument? Did I do something wrong? Did I misunderstand something? That's how I try to approach arguments, and that's how I try to diffuse arguments.
Communication is key.
Communication is key.
That's all I have to say. Communicating would just solve everything.
It really would, because then you'll have less arguments.
Yeah.
Difference between arguing and having a conversation.
Oh.
So
I'm bad at this.
I yell a lot. I repeat things a lot. Yes. Most people confuse that with arguments. For those that I've spoke to where it sounded like we were arguing, I'm not arguing with you. I'm just very...
You're very emotional.
Passionate.
But you're passionate. He's very passionate about things.
For no reason. Just passion. Just all this passion to give away.
Sometimes let's say we'll talk about celebrities and something happening, and he'll be like, what are you talking about? Whatever. And then we'll just go on and on and on. And then to me, it sounds like an argument because it's why are you getting so defensive, right? But he's just so passionate about things that it comes off as that. Yeah. But to him, we're just having a regular conversation, whereas to me, it's why are we arguing about this? And then he'll be like, no, chill. It was no argument.
Or I'll tell myself to chill. I'll be like, you know what? I'll just be like, you know what? You're right. We'll just agree to disagree. That's what we should do more. But yeah, for the most part, I try not to have arguments. It's just proper discourse. We're just talking. We could agree to disagree if it's dragging on too long. And then most of the time, I ask myself, is this really going to matter in 5 years?
Yes.
Is what we're talking of something of substance, or it's just opinion?
Yeah.
Is this semantics? It doesn't...
that, sometimes that bothers me so much when people
What
when
bothers
you're
you?
having when you're having an argument and people are like, "Is this gonna matter in 5 years, right?" And I'm like, I honestly can care less about if it matters to me in 5 years. Like in the moment, it's hurtful to me. So yes, it might not matter to me, and I won't remember this in the future. But that doesn't mean that I have to take away from the fact that it's hurting me right now. And it's
I
bothering
only
me.
say, is this going to matter in 5 years? I put that on things that are like a difference of opinion, not serious things. If you feel sad about something, I'm not going to be like, does this matter in 5 years? No, I'm talking about like topics, like current events, like, celebrity stuff, or like, political stuff. Stuff that's outside of our relationship. If it's within our relationship and it's like between me and you, and it's something you have a problem with me or I have a problem with you, then that's when I'm not going to say, is this going to matter in 5 years? I also don't say that to people. I say that in my head. Is this going to matter in 5 years? I don't say that out loud. I don't say that to you. I don't think I say that to you.
No, but I'm just talking in general because I know people would do that.
Yeah, like this is not going to matter, bro.
Especially older people. Then, like older
Yeah,
people than
yeah.
us would be like, "Well, would that matter to you?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't think it should take away from the fact that like it is bothering me now."
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
What else? When to argue and when not to argue. So, I always say have arguments in private. Don't have it at the dinner with your friends. Don't have it at the club or the bar with all your friends. Do not have it at your mom's house. Don't have it at the family reunion. Don't have it at the park. Don't have it at the restaurant. Always have arguments in private. That's just my opinion. If you feel like it's about to come up, be like, okay, boo, not the right place. Let's put this for later. Let's enjoy the rest of our day.
And along with that, I have a bad habit of going to other people when I...
Too soon.
Well, no,
Too soon.
So like, let's say something's bothering me that you're doing.
Yes.
I will go to my best friend, or I will go to like a cousin and be like, "Oh, I hate when he does this," right? So then they put stuff in my head, and it'd be less for you if I were to just go up to you and be like, "Hey, like I have an issue with this," versus escalating a situation because now they put stuff in my head.
But there's nothing wrong with getting a second opinion, though. I don't care about that.
But I think it's better to go to you first than go to someone else. In some
Yeah.
scenarios.
Like hit me up first about whatever you have a problem with, and if you're not getting the answers that you want, bring it up to someone else to see. All right.
For a second opinion,
There
right?
you go. Yeah.
Because you don't want someone answering for them. Like then
Yeah.
people start making assumptions, and they're like, "Well, he's doing this, he's doing that, whatever." So I think go to your source first. And then for a second opinion, go to like your best friend, your family member, whoever.
Look at you sounding so mature. Why aren't you mature doing it? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
One thing
I'm
is
kidding,
one
I'm just
thing is
kidding.
saying it, and another thing is practicing
No,
it.
you're good.
So I'm so
No, for the most part, you're good. Because if you know better, then I know you could do better. So now I know you know better.
Yeah.
Don't hold grudges at an end of an argument. Once the argument is over, don't hold a grudge about it. Even if you, at the end of the day, if you find out, oh, she's right, don't hold a grudge about that. Why wouldn't you want your girlfriend to be right about some things? It's okay. If you find out he's right, Roro, don't hold a grudge about it. Don't be like, he's always telling me I'm wrong. Like, it's okay. You want your boyfriend to be right about some things. If he was wrong about everything, why would you be with him?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Girls are guilty of that. We get very emotional about things.
Is it pride or is it emotions? Or is it a mix of both?
It could be a mix of both.
I can see that. Guys have ego too. Let's not just put it on the ladies. I mean, I know for the most part, if I wrote a whole paragraph explaining myself why I'm right, and you send one thing to prove me wrong, I'm gonna feel salty. That's natural.
Also, we're very like hard to we have difficulty forgetting stuff. So we will hold a grudge because in the future, if you do it again, then it's like we'll bring it up and be like, "Well, you did it last time too."
That's true. So don't hold grudges at an arguments. Always leave on a good note. Any type of argument that we have, I don't care what type of argument it is, what the topic is, what has happened, I always try to leave on a good note. So, let's say we were to argue right now, I'd be like, okay, I get it. Or let's say I'll say I don't get it, but let's just leave on a good note. Like, we'll figure this out later. Let's say I still don't understand where you're coming from. Just leave it like that. It's okay to just leave arguments as they are and leave on a good note.
Yeah, you're actually good at that. Yeah, because our
Oh my
last
god. Was it only at?
our last argument, I remember like at first like he
What was the argument about? Do you want to talk about what it was about?
I made an assumption about him being very socially pressured to do things.
Which I am sometimes.
So I felt like he was having a last minute get together with his friends just because other people were doing it.
Yeah.
And he always mentions like, oh my god, everybody's out. Like I feel like I have to be out. So I try to tell him like, don't do things because other people are doing it. Like it's okay to just have a day to yourself and just chill.
Yeah.
Especially if during the week you're complaining about how tired you are. So it's like, don't feel pressured by other people. So I kind of made an assumption by thinking like you're just getting like a get together with your friends because other people are doing it. But he was like, no, I actually want to. Like I had this planned out for weeks, right? But that's where miscommunication comes because you never told me. Like you were planning this for weeks to like be with your friends and like watch a game. So
and it's not about and I think at the moment I felt like, oh, I constantly have to check in with my girlfriend. Guys, it's not about checking in with her. It's just if she noticed that you're prone to something when it comes to coming out, like let's say you're easily influenced, don't be surprised if she brings that up at a time where you're going out. Yeah. If you're the type of guy that's easily influenced to go out, and this random time you want to go out and she brings it up, I get why you bring it up, but that shouldn't be like your first thought. People like going out in general on Saturdays. A lot of people go out on Saturdays. So if I say, oh, a lot of people are out, it's Saturday, so of course a lot of people are going to be out. That has nothing to do with me wanting to go out, because if let's say there's one Saturday and no one went out, I'm not going to be like, okay, no one's out today, I'm going to not have fun today, I'm going to stay inside. Like, no, I'm going to go out because I want to have fun.
Yeah.
So.
But that, along with that, like I feel like there's common arguments because with going out and not telling like your partner.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And I always wonder, like, why don't people do it? Like, some guys would just go out and not tell their girls, and it's like, well, maybe she's the jealous type, maybe she can't handle it, she's gonna tell you no. But
I think people.
I think it's just. I think it's just. What is?
I think in general, people just need to have their partner in mind, whether it's out in the open, just bring it up in general. Whatever you're doing, it's not like you're checking in with them. It's just they're gonna find out where you're at anyway. Because if you're talking to them on a daily basis, they're gonna want to know what you're doing in general. What?
Seeing that shit on Snap or on Instagram or whatever.
Finding out through Snap or
like,
Instagram.
What the hell did you tell me? I think it's just I can't think of the word. I'm like having a brain fart.
It makes it seem like you're not letting me know about your whereabouts. Yeah, courtesy.
Courtesy to just let me know.
Yeah.
I don't care what, like, in my case, like, I don't care what he does. Well, I do, right? But, like, he has a lot of freedom where I'm not on his ass for, like, you know, I don't tell him, don't go out with your friends, don't do this, don't do that.
Yeah.
Like, do what you want, just courtesy for you to tell me that you're doing those things. Because then sometimes I'll be planning things and I find out last minute, like, we're gonna hang out for dinner, but then you want to hang out with your friends after, and that just cuts whatever I had planned for afterwards.
I get that, and guys, I feel like we don't think like that, which is why sometimes these arguments could be skewed, because it's like, for the most part, stereotypically, guys aren't always wondering where their girl is at. It's usually girls wondering where their guy is at. So I kind of think a lot of guys could relate to, like, you know, we kind of just do what, you know, we go with the flow. Whereas girls, they're kind of, they like that. They like you being a little more courteous, you know, keeping them in mind. Whereas if Roro goes out and she's not keeping me in mind, I'm not going to all of a sudden start crying and worrying. Not saying that girls do that, but, you know, I don't really mind. If she goes out and she wants to go out and she didn't technically tell me who she's going to be with, where she's going to be at, I personally don't care. Yeah. But, you know, it's whatever.
So we drifted, but
what?
Going with the argument.
Going back, yeah.
You were very good because at the beginning you called very mad and you were like, why are you making assumptions? Like, I'm not doing things because other people are doing it. And I'm like, that's okay. We talked it all out, and then at the end, you always never fail to be like, you know what, like, it's okay. Like, we leave it at that. Like, we talked about it. You were making assumptions. Don't do it again. Like, I love you, whatever. You know, like, we're good now.
Yeah, and that's how you stop having arguments, by just kind
Instead
of diffusing them.
Instead of just being like, bye.
Yeah, because then it's just gonna carry on. What hasn't been finished is just gonna carry on until it gets finished, and it might get finished in even worse way, or at a time that you didn't want it to. Like let's say it's a special occasion. So that's it on arguments. Do you have anything else to add?
Be nice to your partner. Take
Yeah,
them
be
in
nice.
mind.
I think it's easier to
Like
just,
you said,
yeah.
think outside of yourself. Try to put yourself in their position.
Know when not to have arguments. Know when to have arguments.
Yeah, don't escalate things if it doesn't need to.
If
I
it's-
know girls,
yeah.
like we sometimes look for like, not drama,
A
but like,
rise.
we're like, well, let's make this a
Dramatic.
bigger issue so that to see how he would react or how he would handle it.
There's no need for that, ladies. And then for men, just be nice and be courteous to your girl. And that's all I have to add. Follow us at Young Dumb and Dating on Apple Podcasts and on SoundCloud. You can follow us at Young Dumb Dating _ Young with the U on Instagram. Look out for question of the day in our story. Look out for our episodes on the weekly basis. And subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll start putting more filmed episodes on there.